All right, so the first thing that you're going to notice is that Mr. put a bunch of lines on the outside of your paper plate. That's where we are going to make some cuts for our loom, okay? You want to go just to the edge of the paper plate, kind of where it starts to bend, and you don't want to go past that. Make sure that you take your time and rotate the plate as you need to, okay? No need to rush on this part. Okay, first we need to take our string and kind of tape it to the back. Once the tape is secure, we'll flip it over and feed our yarn through one of the notches. We want it to be at the bottom. Next, we're going to bring our yarn across our plate and put it into one of the notches. Then we need to count. I know that sounds silly, but we do need to count. The right side should have 8 notches, and the left side should have 9 notches. Take a moment and see if that's what you have. You might need to move your yarn over a notch and just double check with the teacher if you're not so sure. The next step is super important. We always want to rotate our plate so that the tail is towards our belly, okay? We always want that part to be towards our belly. This next part is super important. Make sure you're listening. Our yarn is always going to go next door. It's going to ask for a cup of sugar. And then they say, no, we don't have a cup of sugar. Get out of my house. And it's going to go across, making the world's tiniest X. Give it a try. I always said the most important part is that our tail is towards our belly. So we're going to rotate our plate so that our tail is towards our belly. Perfect. It's going to go next door, ask for a cup of sugar. They're going to say, no, I don't have a cup of sugar. Go across the street. You're going to pull your yarn across your loom, making the world's tiniest. Is that it? No, that's not it. That it? Nope. Oh, good. There, that's the one. Okay? That looks perfect. We're going to put it in the notch. Not too tight. You don't want to make your plate bend. Okay? Then you're going to rotate your loom so that your tail is toward your belly. You're going to go next door. You're going to ask for a cup of sugar. You're going to say, no way, I don't have a cup of sugar. Go across the street. Make the world's tiniest X. Nope. Oh, yeah. Is that it? Yes. Good. Put it in the notch. Not too tight. Rotate it so the tail is at your belly. Go next door. Ask for a cup of sugar. They say, no, I don't have one. Go across the street. Make the world's tiniest X. Put it in the notch. What do you guys think goes next? Oh, I think you know. Rotate the plate. Tail is by your belly. Go next door. Ask for a cup of sugar. You never want to go to the left neighbor. You always want to go to the right neighbor. Ask for the sugar. They say, no, I don't have one. Why don't you try across the street? Making the world's tiniest X. Put it in the notch. What comes next? Rotate the plate. Go next door. Ask for a cup of sugar. They say, no, I don't have one. Try across the street. Makes the world's tiniest X. Put it in the notch. Rotate your plate. I feel like you guys are probably getting it, but I'm still going to make you watch it. Go next door. Ask for a cup of sugar. They say, no, I don't have one. Try across the street. Put it in the notch. Rotate the plate. We're almost done. Go next door. She says, I don't have one for the last time. Go across the street. I told you I don't have one. Oh, nope, that's not the one. That's the one. Okay, good. Put it in the notch. Rotate the plate. Wonderful. Go next door. Put it in the notch. And now you are ready to weave. Weaving is all about going over and under, over and under. We want to go in the same direction the whole time. You don't want to reverse and go the other way. That's just not going to work. Pick a direction and go with it the whole time. I always go counterclockwise, the opposite way of a clock. I like to go over, under, and then I give it a little tug. We don't want to go too far because then it can get knotted. Then I go over and under, and then I give it a little tug. If you get confused as to which warp string you should be going over and under, give a little tug and it will show you. Then you can take your weft, the yarn that you're weaving with, and begin your over and under again. Don't forget, give it a little tug every so often so it doesn't get knotted. I like to do my weaving closest to the edge of the plate. It's easier for me to see which warp strings I want to go over and under. The first 2 times around your loom are going to be pretty tricky. I promise it does get easier. Take your time, check it often, and ask for help if you need it. I'm going to do a little fast forward so we can get to the next step. Okay, now that my weft string is about the height of my chin when I lean over it, it is time to add another one, okay? So I'm going to choose a color that I think is going to look good with my weaving. I kind of compare a couple different ones, and eventually I believe I decide on the light purple, okay? I'll have a few pre-cut strings for you folks, and then you could just pick one from there. Okay, now it is time to tie a knot. A lot of you are really great at tying your shoes, and that's the knot that you'll want to use because you know how to do it and it's easy. That's not the best kind of knot for our weaving because when you tug on the yarn, it will come undone, okay? So that's not what we're going to do. We are going to do a knot that I kind of call it the balloon tie because one of the students pointed out that this is how you tie a balloon. So you match up the tails of the yarn. I'm going to move it over so you can see. Match them up so they're about the same length. Wrap them around your 2 fingers, so your pointer finger and your middle finger. And then you are going to tuck the tails in between the 2 fingers and pull through. So wrap it around, and then you are going to tuck the tails through your fingers, and then slip your fingers out. I'll show you one more time. You got your 2 tails. Once you've tightened your knot, give it a good little tug, and then you can trim off the excess. Don't go below the knot, you want to go above the knot. Just kind of give it a little haircut. and then put those little pieces of string on the side. Okay, good. Give it another tug just to make sure, and then you're good to go. Then you're going to continue to weave with your over, under, over, under. Have to keep going in that same direction. So whatever direction you did with your first piece of yarn, you do with your second piece of yarn. You don't change it. Now that we have a knot in our yarn, we want to make sure that we really give it a little bit of a tug every now and then. Okay, we don't want to go too many over-unders without that little tug because it can get knotted in the warps pretty easily. Okay, so over-under, over-under, over-under. I did an extra one there. Give it a little tug and be gentle because that knot can get caught on our warped strings. At this point, our knot is about to get woven into our warps. Okay, so when we get there, we will just give it a nice little gentle tug, and then we'll kind of tuck the tails so that they face down, so we won't even see it. All right, you guessed it. It is now time to do another balloon tie, okay? So I am noticing that my light purple yarn is kind of frayed, meaning it's separating. So I'm just going to give it a little haircut, not too short, but just to cut off that little extra piece and put that to the side. And then I will line up the tails of my yarn, and notice that my light purple is pretty short, so it does make it a little more difficult to tie. So make sure you give yourself enough room, okay? And again, so line up your tails, wrap them around your two fingers, pull it through, take your time, give it a little bit of a tug. There you go, and then you can give it a haircut if you need to. Now you are on your way to continue your weaving. Make sure that you go in the same direction, and we will create our weavings to be about 4 inches in diameter. So I'll have some rulers for us to measure because I don't want to cover up that beautiful painting that you folks did, but I do want us to have a really nice size weaving as well. Okay, I will fast forward so that you can see kind of a little bit more of the weaving, and then I'll let you get started. All right, have fun.